Hello.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
Hello, everyone. My name's Sydnie Christmas.
Is it?
In the high-stakes world of reality television, the search for the next big thing often leads to a dangerous game of labels that does more harm than good. Today, we are dissecting the massive controversy surrounding the constant comparisons between Christmas and the legendary Susan, a narrative that has divided the of 2026. While both women shared the same stage and the same golden buzzer glory, the industry insiders we've spoken to suggest that forcing these two icons into the same box is the biggest mistake viewers are currently making. This isn't just about a difference in vocal tone. It's about a fundamental shift in how the talent circuit operates in the modern era. We are peeling back the layers of these two very different careers to reveal why the next Susan tag is actually a disservice to the unique path has carved out for herself. The era of the unfiltered surprise has met the era of polished perfection, and the clash is reshaping the future of entertainment. While the world initially saw a humble receptionist with a dream, a digital investigation into his past soon ignited a firestorm of accusations that Susan never had to face. Critics and fans alike were stunned to discover that was far from an amateur, with a history of West End performances and professional cruise ship contracts already under her belt. This revelation led to a massive wave of backlash, with many claiming the competition was rigged in favor of someone who already knew the industry's secrets. Susan represented a pure, raw discovery, a woman who lived in isolation and had never been by a vocal coach or a casting director. However, is a product of years of grueling professional training and sofa surfing while trying to break into the industry. The public's perception of fairness has shifted significantly, and the debate over whether a professional should be allowed to compete against amateurs continues to haunt 2026 legacy. To the untrained ear, they are both simply great singers, but a deeper look into the vocal architecture reveals two entirely different weapons designed for very different battlefields. Our musicologists have noted that Susan is the definitive mezzo-soprano of her generation, utilizing a classic, operatic warmth that thrives on vulnerability and simplicity. In stark contrast, Christmas operates as a high-belt musical theater powerhouse, possessing a vocal pro range that allows her to manipulate notes with surgical precision. Pitting a classical-leaning singer against a modern Broadway titan is a fundamental error in judgment. One voice is meant to soothe and evoke nostalgia, while the other is meant to command a massive theater with sheer physical force and technical mastery. By forcing them into the same category, fans are ignoring the technical nuances that make each woman a master of her specific craft. It's not a competition of who is better, but a realization that they aren't even playing the same sport. Way the press handled Susan in 2009, compared to how they treat Christmas today, reveals a shocking evolution in our cultural appetite for drama. Susan was treated by the media as a curiosity, a gentle soul that the world felt a collective need to protect from the harsh realities of fame. However, in the hyper-connected world of 2026, has been treated more like a contestant on trial, with every past gig and social media post scrutinized for signs of cheating. The media has traded the miracle story for the exposed ringer narrative, creating a much more hostile environment for modern winners. This shift has forced to develop a thick skin, often ignoring the comments that flood her mentions after every performance. She doesn't have the luxury of being a surprise, because the internet ensures that no one is truly unknown anymore. The innocence that surrounded Susan's viral moment has been replaced by a cynical hunt for the hidden truth behind every new star. We must address the look factor and the evolving standards of beauty that have placed a much heavier burden on than the world ever placed on Susan. When Susan walked onto that stage, her untamed appearance was part of the shock that made her a legend. She broke the industry's aesthetic rules by simply being herself. Fast forward to 2026, and Christmas is operating in an age where viral perfection is the baseline requirement for success. Despite her incredible talent, she is often judged by her pop star image, leading to speculations that she was hand-picked because she fits a certain marketable mold. This ignores the years of she had to endure while living in her car and working dead-end jobs to fund her dream. While Susan proved that talent has no face, is proving that even if you look the part, you still have to fight twice as hard to prove your talent is real. The industry has become more inclusive in some ways, but more demanding in others. Behind the scenes of the 2026 tour, a massive professional ultimatum has been issued that could determine whether follows in Susan's footsteps or carves a new path. Insiders report that record labels are pushing to release an album of safe covers, much like Susan's multi-platinum records, but is reportedly fighting for a more theatrical and original sound. This internal conflict highlights the danger of the comparison. Labels want Susan numbers, but wants a West End career. If she gives in to the pressure of the diva label, she risks becoming a carbon copy of stars who came before her, losing the very fire that made her stand out on the BGT stage. The financial stakes are massive, and the breaking heart of the situation is that a talented artist might be forced to suppress her true style just to satisfy a commercial algorithm. She is currently at a crossroads where she must choose between being the next someone else or the first Christmas. While many assume that a golden buzzer win equals instant wealth, the financial reality of 2026 shows a much more exposed and difficult path for than many would believe. Unlike the early days of Susan, where album sales were a gold mine, the streaming era has made it much harder for new talent to secure their financial future. Investigative reports into the Blue Crew logistics suggest that is working double the hours for a fraction of what past stars earned in their first year of fame. She is navigating a landscape of high-cost tour and legal fees from her professional past entanglements, making her overnight success feel like a long, expensive climb. This economic pressure is a far cry from the global dominance Susan experienced, where her first album broke records worldwide. Fans see the glamour of the television screen, but the reality is a young woman trying to balance the massive expectations of a legend with the actual paycheck of a modern-day streaming artist. The psychological weight of living in the shadow of a legend has led to what some are calling a mental health crisis for the current generation of talent winners. In leaked interviews from an upcoming documentary, discusses the dark nights where she felt she might end the dream because the pressure of the comparison became too much to bear. She has used careful language to describe her history of feeling at the edge, mirroring some of the same struggles Susan faced when she was admitted to a clinic following her own finale. Both women have dealt with the shocking transition from anonymity to global scrutiny, but has to do it while being told she isn't as authentic as Susan. This constant questioning of her realness has taken a toll that no standing ovation can fix. She is a champion for mental health advocacy today because she knows exactly how it feels to have your soul exposed to millions of people who are looking for reasons to tear you down. As we move into the latter half of 2026, the question of authenticity has become the primary for these two fandoms, but the definition of that word has changed. Fans of Susan argue that her story can never be replicated because it was a once-in-a-lifetime accident of timing and talent. However, supporters argue that her authenticity comes from her honesty about her professional struggle, that she never hid her past, but rather used it as fuel for her fire. This debate has revealed a deeper truth about how we perceive talent. We want our stars to be natural, but we also expect them to be perfect. Is caught in the middle of this paradox, being penalized for her hard work while being compared to a woman who became famous for her lack of it. The legacy of both women is secure, but the way we judge them says more about us as an audience than it does about their ability to sing a high note. The final verdict of our 2026 report is clear. The most shocking thing about this comparison is how much we are missing when we focus on the similarities instead of the differences. Christmas and Susan are the bookends of a decade of reality TV, representing the transition from raw discovery to refined ambition. Whether goes on to win a Tony Award or Susan continues to enjoy her quiet legacy in Scotland, the reality is that they are two different queens of two different eras. The breaking heart of the fans should not be for a career that is failing to be like Susan's, but for an artist who is struggling to be seen for who she truly is. As the curtain falls on this investigation, we leave you with one thought. If we keep looking for the next version of the past, we will never truly hear the music of the future. The stage is wide enough for both the shepherdess and the starlet, and it's time we finally let Christmas stand in a light that is entirely her own.